The following program is produced through the community television facilities of Saugus TV. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of Saugus TV, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Welcome, my friend. Welcome back to another episode of the Return of the Disgruntled Italian. So, as in the previous episode, I mentioned the book of Ruth Ben-Ghiat. I decided to read it. And I go like, well, as I'm reading, I'm getting floored every page I read because it's almost like a graphic, real picture of today's times and era. And she rightfully described and separated the two centuries, the 20th century and the 21st century. And she noticed that the 20th century, the majority of the coup d'etat, they were done by military or with the aid of military. So obviously with that one, shot may be wrong and things like that. So what happened? We have a blood coup d'etat. Now the 21st century, I think the directors of those coups, they got smarter, or they probably have more money. Simple as that. By association, the super duper rich guys probably are the one to look at when a coup d'etat on the first century, it happens. So, and why I say this way, because it's no longer with the war machine or weapons or stuff like that. It's more through manipulated elections. And they realize that the people at large, they are not really interested on all those rules and all those variation, especially in the United States, from state by state, there's variation on the rule for voting. And they turn it around and make it to their advantage because the people don't pay attention. The reason not that the people is lazy, no, but the people has to get to the end of the month and they have to work 60, 80, 90 hours a week, which makes them at the end of the week or at the end of every day, makes them really don't want to bother with anything. And the first capitulation is the election, the political system, which today should be, the word system, it should be replaced with the political industry. So now, as I read the book from Ruth Ben-Ghiat, as I said, I'm amazing. And I decided I would like to share some of the contents with all my friends. So if you indulge me, I will grab the book over here. And I even took a pair of reading glasses. Well, the age, what can we do? Unfortunately, the age, it's exacting a toll. All right, here we go. We'll start from a list of the player of all those, where did she put it? All those well-known people that they got into power in between the 20th century and the 21st century. until today. Okay, so I'm looking for where the page with the list is, because it's important. Strongman introduction. Protagonist, here we go. She started with the first one top of the list, and as I was a younger man, I heard about this. He's called himself President of Uganda, but he's actually a bloodthirsty dictator. The name is Idi Amin. He was president of Uganda from 1971 to 1979. Short time, but not short enough for all the victims. He entered office through a military coup and was forced into exile by opposition forces. So that opposition forces, sometimes they have a leverage, which makes me think, if our Democratic Party is the opposition forces, where are they? The only one I see is our beloved governor of California, Gavin Newsom. He is a smart guy. I like him, and a couple others with it. Then we have the number 2 in the list of Professor Ben-Gyat. That's Mohammed Siad Barre. I'm sorry if my pronunciation is incorrect. President of the Somali Democratic Republic. Since 1969 to 1991. So that means quite a bit. More likely, I would say, 23 years, if my math is correct. He entered office through a military coup and were forced into exile, again, by opposition forces. Then number 3, we have a person that I know. I grew up in the same area where he was in Italy. Silvio Berlusconi, Prime Minister of Italy, May-December 1994 to 2001, 2006 were knocked out, 2008 to 2011. So he was on and off, probably because he was a better liar than others. He came to power each time through election. His 1994 government fell due to corruption charges. Do they have corruption charges? A room full of paper. He was voted in 2006 and resigned in 2011 during the Eurozone crisis. Then we have number 4, the former president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, much beloved by Donald Trump. I said Donald Trump? Well, Donald Trump, for the people who don't know. Obviously, I'm pulling a leg here. He was still president when this book was either printed or just published. He came in office through election, and he lost his office through election. And now we are Lula da Silva, which is more likely on the left side of the spectrum. Then we have another beauty, which is Rodrigo Duterte, president of the Philippines. Like how this dictator called himself president, thinking that they are still into a democratic regime. Sorry for my laugh. He came into office through election, and he claimed to clean the Philippines from all the drug dealers, all the drug pushers, and all kind of stuff. And he killed thousands and thousands of people. And now he's no longer around, and the problem is not being solved, which I would like to come to the assumption that even if he was around through his entire life, he wasn't going to solve the problem anyway. Okay, so then we have another guy in Turkey, Recep Tayyip. There are two to spell his second name, Tayyip. I don't know how to pronounce it. I hope I pronounce it correctly. Erdogan, President of Turkey. 2014, again to the present, I apologize. Prime Minister of Turkey from 2013 to 2014 and 2018 to the present. He came into office through election. See? But this is now on the 21st century. So, and then we have another one, probably by the name alone it won't be easily recognizable, but in reality is well known, is Francisco Franco Bahamonde, called also El Caudillo, that in Hispanic means the leader of Spain. 1939 to 1975, these guys did the best job out of all these dictators, probably because he gave to other people more space and room. He came to power through a military coup. See, that was the 20th century. Coup and led nationalist forces during the Spanish Civil War. That was from 1936 to 1939. He died in office of natural causes. Well, just like the famous family in the famous movie, which is reflect the real life, the Corleone, he died in his backyard, falling off a chair. If they, it's a reflection of real organized crime life. There was the only one that actually died of old age. All the other one, they died by gunshot, gun wound, or some other stuff. None of them nice. Then we have Muammar Gaddafi. I think we know him. Now, Muammar Gaddafi led the brotherly leader and guide of the revolution of Libya. There was 1969 to 2011. So it started on the 20th century and it ended on the 21st century, which is probably the closest thing to Francisco Franco. He came to power through a military coup and was executed by opposition forces during the 2011, which has got some similarity with the Saddam Hussein, because I still remember seeing the video that he was found hiding, got him, and some young men decide to shoot him on the spot. Well, young men and their hormones, right? Then we have the most famous of all, which is Adolf Hitler, Chancellor of Germany. That doesn't mean leader of Germany. Chancellor, more likely this title it's applied to in the hierarchy of the university, the guy in charge. So from 1933 to 1945, and he was Führer, which in Germany means leader of Germany. So from 1934 to 1945, which means that gap from 1933 to 1934, it was the gap that he needed to get to power, which is actually, he got to power with very, very short time. That 1 year includes other operation. So, and then Hitler, he was it says, he was appointed by President Paul von Hindenburg as a chancellor. Hitler committed suicide on April 1945. Should have committed suicide long before that, but well, then we have another one that we mostly of us know, which is Saddam Hussein, president of Iraq, another funny president. From 1979, obviously the 20th century, so he decided he's going to do a hot revolution, to 2003. He came to power via military coup, imprisoned in 2003 by American occupation forces. He was tried by the Iraqi Special Tribunal for Crime Against Humanity. In 2006, he was sentenced to death by hanging and executed dead here. Well, now, this is my opinion, wrong or right, but I think we got two of them that should follow the same fate, which one of them is Benjamin Netanyahu, and the other one it's Vladimir Putin. The first one is head of the Israeli government, and the second one is president of Russia. I love that. That's something to smile about. So then we have Narendra Modi. I'm sorry, this is an Indian name. Narendra Modi, and the pronunciation, I have to apologize. I don't know Indian. A Prime Minister of India, 2014 to the present, which is still on as we speak. As a matter of fact, he just went into a meeting with Xi Jinping, with Putin, with the dictator of North Korea. I cannot even pronounce his name, so I'm sorry. And other president or whatever they are of the Euro-Asia country, like Tajikistan and all this Stan nation, Uzbekistan, and not Afghanistan. I don't know. The president could have been there too, I'm not sure. But this is Xi Jinping try to claw up the prominence into the world and go above the United States. That so far with Trump, it's an easy job. Then we have Benito Mussolini, which my father and my grandfather experienced it on their own skin, is dictatorship. So Benito Mussolini, Prime Minister of Italy, 1922 to 1925, which 1922 is the same year that my father and my mother was born. Head of state and Il Duce of Italy, which the word Il Duce also means the same as Führer, leader of Italy. But through the Latin, which also mean conductor, the guy that lead the nation to better objective, which actually 90% of, at the end of the war, of the Italian Syrian town and villages, they were bombed. I don't see how that could be better. So he was also, let's start from head of the state and Il Duce of Italy from 1925 to 1943. Head of state and Il Duce of Republic of Salò, which is northeast of Italy, 1943 to 1945. Now, this is a brief historical note. King Victor Emmanuel III appointed him prime minister. The fascist Grand Council removed him from power in July of 1943 and imprisoned him. In September 1943, Adolf Hitler had him freed with an action from his favorite SS special guard, and place him at the head of the Republic of Salo, a Nazi client state. So he was no longer any leader. He was just a yes man for Hitler. Italian partisan executed him in April 1945, and they took the body of him and his mistress and 3 other of his ultra, what's the English word? They are trusted men. There is ultra trustable men on his regime. They end up and the same way he did. And the partisan put the body on the Piazzale Loreto near a gas station. But after a short period of time, maybe a few hours or less, they realized that the mob, they was actually destroying their body by kicking them, spitting on them, and pissing on them, and do all kinds of things that unspeakable. Even I apologize for what I said, but that was the reality. So the partisan, what they had to do, they had to hang them upside down into a higher stand so that they will no longer be violated. So that's the end of that regime. And I have to say, the majority of these people, except for 2 or maybe 3, they didn't live long enough to see what they have done to the nation with their ruling. Therefore, because they were killed, assassinated. So let's go on. This historical note went long, even too far. Then we have another one. That's Viktor Orban, Hungarian Prime Minister, 2010 to the present, and he's still on now. He maybe has a chance to get out of it alive. Who knows? He came into office through election. As of April 2020, he rules by decree, but his also power is showing sign of cracks. So, Augusto Pinochet Ugarte, another bloody thirst of person. I have a hard time calling them president, but that's the title that they got, so that's okay. President of the governing junta of Chile, 1973 to 1990, 17 years. President of Chile from 1974 to 1990. We note again that he did it through a coup d'etat with the military, and that was the 20th century. He came into office through a military coup, as I said, and was voted out of the office by a 1988 by a plebiscite, I think it's plebiscite. Another apology for this pronunciation, because English, it's my second language, not my first. And then we have our buddy, I should say Trump's buddy, Vladimir Putin, President of Russia, 2000 to 2008. What a joke, the title president. 2012 to the present. Prime Minister of 2008 to 2012. He came into office both times through election. Those election was so blatantly rigged. It is unbelievable. But they love it, even if it's rigged. In other words, it's not the opinion of the people. They love to say, oh, they are elected by election, which means nothing. Then we have Mobutu Siseko, president of Zaire, 1965 to 1967. He came into office through a military coup. Well, that's the 20th century. Born Joseph Desiré Mobutu. Well, aside the Mobutu, he has a pretty sound good name. Joseph Desiré. In 1972, he changed his name to Mobutu Sese Seko Kuku Ngendu Waza Banga. Holy cow. I can't see you, my friend, but I think I am more sure that you guys laughing with me on this one, which translates as the all-powerful warrior who, because of his endurance and inflexibility, will to win, goes from conquest to conquest, leaving fire in his wake. He was forced into exile in 1997 by opposition forces. And the last one, this is a domestic one, is Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, 2016 to the present. So now I'm assuming that this book couldn't have been published no later than 2019, 2020, maybe. 2019 more likely, or earlier. He came to power through election. In 2019, he was impeached by the House for abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. The Senate acquitted him on both counts. So this is the list of the most famous, or I should say infamous, dictator. That's the common denominator for all of them. Okay, and that's how this very smart young lady show her ability to analyze things. That is very good. So then I have more notes, and I think I don't have much more time of talking about our history and the description of this character that I just mentioned. And my glasses are working, but I have to have my book close to my eyes because it's just a magnifying one. Okay. People will say, there is a note over here. I just highlight note. It says, it is fear that makes people so willing to follow brash, strong-looking demagogue, and accordingly to their words, is capable of cleansing the world of the vague, the weak, the uncertain, the evil, and to give oneself over to their direction. What calm, what relief. Okay, this note, it's very important because as I kept reading and I come to the understanding that in reality, these people, they are not strong, they are not capable without violence and not without reasoning, convincing of anything like that, or maybe just by legislating. Through violence, they are capable through violence, not directly committed by them, but ordered to get rid of what they considered the weak and all these kind of people, which it is wrong. Like it was wrong what Elon Musk did with this Doge organization, I should call it. Even if something on their idea was already in our government to make sure, according to the Office of the Accounting, that certain expenditure shouldn't go further than a certain amount. Therefore, there is a control which on the contrary, Doge, it went very, very strong and put all their card on the fact that there was no organization to control the spending. So they decide, so we need a Doge, an office that's much more stronger, and then use the law of the X to cut down on the expenditure, which is wrong, which, if we can think about it, is going to make our government look much more weaker and become weaker, because the X, it doesn't look at the vetting system of these people. What they do is they just cut the good and the bad, mostly considering how this what they call a deep state are working. Sometimes they work 60 or more hours a week and get paid by the government 40. So if you go into the private system, that does not happen, which is translate that what the deep state, so-called deep state, doing, they are dedicated to their job. They love their job, and they don't mind to spend more time in their workplace, and many times, I'm sure, against even their family member, asking them to come home or to stay home a little bit so they can learn their family. I made the same mistake when I had a printing company. Okay? I did the same thing. And that was wrong. And there is nothing I can do, even giving a limb of my body, to go back and change what I did. Okay? So you understand that what I'm saying to you, my friend, is some of that I experience on my own skin. Okay, so, and that's why I have the luck and the will to stay on this microphone and keep telling to America that the road that we are taking now with Trump, it's wrong, mighty wrong. Okay? Our founding fathers, they were right in everything they wrote into the Constitution. And the Constitution itself is telling us what to do. But through the decades, the governing body of each one of them and their own time, they eroded on the Constitution. And that, again, wrong. It's not right. The Constitution is our guiding light. Just because it cannot answer back doesn't mean that that's not right. That is right. All the basics are correct. So, no money into the political system. Okay? Supreme Court, it should be changed. Put 13 members into the Supreme Court. I'm saying this one now for years, not just 4 or 5, 10 years or more. Obviously, what power I have. Just talking. And I'm talking to you people, hoping that you are going to help me out. Spread the word of what I just say. And what Professor Ruth Ben-Ghiat, it's on this book. I'm sure to be surprised and fall off the chair many times more before I finish to read this book. It's like everything that she writes over here, it's already in my brain, in my mind. I don't know. I can explain that one. But it's maybe because it's so logical, so normal, so beautiful. I don't know. I don't have an explanation. But that's how it is. So, my friend, I would have liked to go much more into the book, but I will have another episode to go, because this book is amazing. I was trying to comment even for the Boston Globe on the Ukraine things, but this one took up short of a minute and a half all my time, And that's because it's a very, very important issue. Yes, Ukraine is important as well, but that's just as important for us as important for the European Union and NATO. Putin should leave Ukraine. He would probably be remembered as a just leader, whatever title, okay? If he leaves Ukraine, he said, even though it might cost him his life, say, I'm sorry, I make a big mistake. I will try to repair and fix everything. It's never gonna happen. It's a dream, but that's a dream worth to dream. Okay, so my friend, I thank you for staying with me, and I will refer any comment to the Disgruntled Italian at gmail.com. Again, the Disgruntled Italian at gmail.com. And thank you for sharing this half hour with me. I appreciate it. You guys are my best friends. I know some of you, and maybe not know some other of you, but you are all here, right here. So, arrivederci the next time, and let's hope America will survive Trump. Thank you. Bye.
The preceding program was produced through the community television facilities of Saugus TV. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of Saugus TV, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.